All right, so thank you guys so much for joining. Really excited about this. And so we're going to be talking today about the millennial homeowner and how to attract and attain these kind of customers, right? I'm Mitch Newman. I'm a sales and marketing expert. So I feel pretty uniquely positioned to talk to you guys about this because I am a millennial and I am a homeowner. And I have personally looked for people to work on my house. And I've been working with Signpost for a year now. And I've helped a lot of companies be able to attract more business, streamline a lot of the things going on in the background, and really make things work for them. So I'm really excited to have this opportunity to talk with you guys. At the end, we'll have a Q&A. Definitely feel free to hop in. If you can message me on here, definitely do that. But I'm really excited to talk to you guys today. So let's get right into it. So what we're going to be talking about today is what marketing tactics really resonate with millennials. What can you do to really get more millennial business? How do we pivot that messaging to the prospects and customers so that you're reaching them at the right places? The best practices for marketing your services. What are the ways that really will stand out and get you more business? And last but not least, the tools and technology that you guys can use to create more business. So first off, let's know our audience, all right? So let's talk about millennials here. Millennials are people that are born sometime between the mid-1980s and the mid-1990s. And their entry into the real estate market has looked a lot different than the older generations, all right? Generally, millennials are doing things way later in life. They're reaching these milestones way later in their life. So they're buying homes later. They're staying in homes. Research has shown that they're staying in homes as a rental for up to 6 years. They're not buying homes younger. They're getting married later in life. So there's a lot of factors that have kind of fed into that. But that has also really informed how millennials purchase things. They're very price conscious. It's really important to have things like now, and they're moving around a lot. All right, so they're really, really tech savvy. They know how to use their phones. They know how to use computers. They're educated. A lot of them have gone to school. They do a lot of research on who they're going to go with before they make a decision. They don't just like hop into anything. And the big thing here is that they're lucrative, right? They're compiling 43% of home buyers this generation. So that's a lot of people buying homes right now. I know that you guys know that during the pandemic, rates were lowering. A lot of people were thinking about moving out of the cities. People were buying homes for the first time. And it's really important to really capitalize on those people that are just buying homes and making decisions on who can come and work with them. So marketing millennials, right? 25% of the population is comprised of this group. 29% of millennials go back to the same company or brand for repeat business. That is a really low number. It's become a lot more important to have incentive programs because it's become almost expected. People are really not sticking around with the same company over and over again. They're making a decision on who's the best right now. And 9 in 10 millennials own and use a smartphone. That just seems obvious, right? And so really, they hate advertisements. They like to Google, they like to do their own research and decide on their own time when they're going to make that call. If they're going to make that call, you know? And exactly what we were talking about before, more and more of those incentives keep the prospect in their minds. So they're really looking for who's the best right now. They're looking for authentic, they're looking for organic, and that's really what you're trying to reach them at. I was just checking the chat actually, see if anybody had, because I saw there was some messages on there. So what's going to work with these guys? First part of this is being where they are. 9 out of 10 millennials have a smartphone. They're tech savvy. And with that amount of devices out there, there comes a higher likelihood of consuming online content that's catered to that device. So it gives rise to a lot of different modes of marketing. The big things here are going to be email, text, social media, your website. And so really ask yourself, is your website, is the content that you're creating mobile ready? When somebody pulls you up online, like with your website, are they seeing pertinent information coming up? Is it easy to digest on their phone? What do you look like online on the phone? Because that's super important. And a lot of people just kind of focus on how they look like on a web browser. So another component to that is, what's your presence on social media like? With the rise of more consumers being on social media like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, what are you guys doing to really get people where they're at? The next part of this is having information be inbound. So what we're talking about here is traditional marketing is really about, like, it's just kind of showing them what they have, the features. But what millennials really are looking for is more content driven answers. So they're doing Google searches, they're looking for how to fix something themselves. They're looking for tips, they're looking for recommendations from people. So rather than that traditional outbound advertising model, you should be first looking within. Millennials support businesses that are dedicated to improving their customers' lives with informative content. So rather than just like putting something on a diner mat or mailing something out, you really want to reach them where they are and come to them with important informational stuff so that you seem like the authority figure there. You know what you're talking about. And then when they say, hey man, I don't know how to fix this myself, then they're going to definitely be coming to you. And the next thing here, we've been talking about this a little bit already, is loyalty and incentive programs. I'm sure that you guys are seeing this. It's become kind of expected now. There's everything from McDonald's to like any kind of just a punch ticket at your local bagel store. People are expecting some kind of incentive to stay loyal to your brand, because these guys have the lowest brand loyalty of any generation. So you got to kind of keep them in there. So it really indicates that you got to do more to attract and keep these customers. So you want to have a constant stimulation of these millennial audiences. The best way is really to make a commitment of using different channels to communicate with your customers and developing messaging during peak busy seasons of the year to give millennials the information they need, and then that call to action to contact your company for service. So right here, you see a little bit of an example here. You want to definitely encourage your customers to give you referrals, tell them, hey, you're like, we're coming into the winter right now. You got to check if your heating's going to be all right. Hey, there was a huge like storm the other day. Are you guys ready for storm season? Any kind of deal like that, anything seasonal. Hey, like Christmas time's coming up. We want to put like Christmas lights on your house. Stuff that they're not even necessarily thinking about. You want to reach them with that helpful little nudge and a call to action to get you guys more business in the door. And the next thing is staying engaged. So more than consumers, millennials are interested in taking on the more hands-on role of a co-creator. So traditionally, companies have kind of created products and services hoping consumers would buy them. But now there's so many options out there, it makes sense to inform your decisions based on input directly from your audience. So it makes them feel empowered, makes them feel like they have the knowledge about the product, and it gives you a built-in fan base. So a big way that people do it is driving engagement, asking for those feedback and reviews from your customers. This also feeds into that entire organic, authentic idea that we were talking about earlier, is having more reviews online. It's going to make you stand out. You're going to seem like a lot of people go to you. You're engaged with the customer. You responding to people's reviews, that's also a big thing. Just makes people feel more like they're a part of the process. And so how are we going to pivot all this messaging, right? So what we want to do is exactly what we were talking about before, is converting from that outbound messaging to inbound messaging. You want to be at that point of when they're looking for information and switch from that outdated outbound approach to the more inbound approach. So customers are going to call or message when they're ready to, not because they see an ad online. They want to do research first. And by making that switch be more informational, millennials will really appreciate that. So exactly like this here, we want to move from, hey, this is what we do, to here's some signs that it's time to replace your insulation. These are things that you should be looking for. And then a call to the action at the bottom there and saying, hey, if you want to have somebody come check it out, we would love to do it. We've been around doing this for a long time. So it really gives you that kind of sense of authority. The next thing is trying new channels to provide information. So oftentimes what may work is trying something you haven't done before. You got to meet your audience where they are. And millennials are on their smartphones. So they're on social media. Consider what you've done in the past and what hasn't worked and see if you can get it to work. So maybe it's starting to send more confirmation messages to audience, whether that be appointment reminders, maintenance reminders, or even promotions that are currently being held with your company. But these kind of important messages sent by email, text, social media, or your website will definitely help you reach more customers. And the next thing is being transparent with communication. So exactly what I was talking about before, millennials appreciate experiences overall. They like people being authentic and intent on delivering a positive customer experience. That's what's really going to resonate with these guys. Millennials don't care about flashy, shiny messaging. They want cold, hard facts, and they want to decide from there what makes the most sense to do. So using verbiage that comes off as real and authentic, it'll really put your business in a positive light with audiences. So just kind of to summarize everything and talk about what we've been talking about today, the best practices going forward. The first thing is being authentic. 90% of millennials say authenticity is important to them when deciding which brands they support. And today, young shoppers' attitude behavior is largely inspired by the people they know in person or online. So what they're seeing online, it's a lot better to see, hey, a lot of people have gone with these guys. They've been around for a long time. They respond to their customers. They're putting out content that is really helpful to me. Their website is easy to use. They answer the calls. This is exactly the kind of stuff that you want millennials to be saying about you, because it'll go a long way to having them be around. And exactly what we're talking about before is being information driven. So you got to make sure that you're not just telling them this is what we can do. It's more about this is what you should be looking for. This is what like generally that kind of a problem is, what it kind of comes out to, what we could do for you. Because millennials are going to try to kind of fix it themselves. You know, they're very price conscious. They want to have you come in though, like once they kind of are messing it up. So you definitely want to capture them at that moment and be helpful, because that's really what they are looking for. Because then they'll say, "All right, I definitely got to go with these guys." The next thing is people kind of forget about this. This is the main thing: is being quick to respond. I can't tell you how many people are losing business because they're not answering the call. Because there's so many options out there that if you don't answer that call when they're coming in or reaching out to them at that moment, they're moving on to the next company. They'll give you maybe 5 to 10 minutes tops to respond back. Otherwise, they're moving down to the next person. They don't want to be left on hold. They're trying to solve a problem right then and there, right when they're having issues with their AC or their roof or plumbing, whatever issue that they're having. They definitely want to have it resolved then and there. And the last thing, we talked about this a whole lot, is being intentional. With everything that you create, have a clear intention, have the why behind why you're doing it. You need to be able to get your messages across to your audience quickly and effectively in a way that appeals to what they need. So make sure that you're putting call to actions on there, trying to get them to come in to do what you want them to do. Really think about what's the end goal here. and then work from there. So now let's talk about tools for success. These are some things that Signpost can do to really help you out and handle and bring in more millennial customers. So the first thing here is a web chat. This has started to become somewhat of an industry standard because millennials like to text so much, because they like such instant responses. And what we can do is we can put an artificial intelligence chatbot onto your website. So as soon as someone's on your website, which is when they're hot, they're the most likely to buy something. They made it to your website. You spent all this money building it out. You can capture that customer right then and there. And this will be filled with artificial intelligence, be able to talk to that customer. It'll look like they're talking to a live person with the 3 dot bubbles and everything of that nature. And at any point, you can manually overtake this conversation so that you can close out the job and be talking to the customer right then and there. Don't got to play this whole phone tag situation where you're calling back and forth trying to get them on just because you had to contact us for them. The next thing is rolling out some email campaigns. So sending them timed marketing messages, telling them about things that they need to be looking out for, sending them out useful tips to how to maintain their house and the things that they need to work on. That's definitely big to be able to send out those kind of messages. And we can help you send time targeted drip marketing campaigns to all the people you worked with in the past. Also, we want to help you make sure that you're staying on top of all of those messaging that you have. There's a lot of different apps that you're using, like Facebook, Home Advisor, maybe Angie. We want to make sure that all of your messages, you're keeping on top of everything. You're not letting anything sitting there in your Facebook messaging for like a couple hours, and then all of a sudden, oh man, I got to get back to this guy, and he's already moved on to the next person. You want to keep on top of everything, keep everything organized. We can definitely help you do that. Also, we have a 24/7 US-based call center specializing in the home services industry that can go all the way through scheduling an appointment for you. And this can get turned on and off with the click of a button. So this will help you make sure that none of your customers are hitting that voicemail. You're captioning them right then and there, right when they're calling in. As well as having an instant response to any missed calls. So if they hit your voicemail for whatever reason, you definitely want to capture them at that moment and tell them, hey, I'm sorry that you missed your call. I know that you called me. We'll call you right back. Or can you tell me a little bit about what you're looking to do today? And that actually moves that conversation onto a text format, which will make it a lot easier for the millennial to kind of get with you. All right, so now at this point, I just want to open it up to any questions that you guys have. We went over a lot today. I also want to tell you guys that we have a June offer going on. So $100 off monthly pricing for any of our packages if you book a demo today. So that QR code right there, if you scan that, that'll go straight to my calendar. And we can talk about any of the things that we talked about today and talk about how we can kind of help you solve some of those problems. So let's open this up to Q&A. And let me know if you guys have anything you want to ask. So probably the best way to do this is just type in any questions that you guys have in the chat. Okay, so we have a great question here. What kind of ads would be most effective since millennials tend to prefer their own research and organic reach? So what we were talking about a lot on it is Google. That's huge, but they don't want to feel like they're being advertised to. So Google ads, not necessarily, but being on Google is big. And having a big web presence on Google is a huge thing. The other thing is social media aspect. So Facebook, the big thing that people kind of forget about Facebook, everybody, like I talk to a lot of people all the time. Like I talk to about 100 people a day. And something that people forget about Facebook is they think that, oh, I posted a picture of the work I did online. That's me having a good Facebook presence. What's having a good Facebook presence is having other people share pictures of the work that you did. Because your Facebook group are just people that you've worked with. What you're really trying to tap into are the people that you worked with, their social media group. So all the followers that they have, all of their friends, because that's a way larger amount of people than just the people following your content. So encouraging your customers to post a picture of, like, particularly like if it's one of the more sexier kind of industries, if you're doing the HGTV kind of stuff, you're doing kitchen remodel, bathroom remodel, like the best part of those shows are the before and after. So you really want to get your customers to post the before and after, because then people will see it and say, oh man, that looks great. That was a huge difference. And then post about your business on there with a link to there. A lot of people think you got to do some kind of financial incentive to that. A lot of people are just happy to kind of do it if you ask them for it. It's really about asking them to do it. But that's a great question. So here's the next question. So can the AI chat feature come across as not being authentic? So that's the thing with it, is it does have like that 3-dot bubble, and then at some point you are manually talking to the customer. So having somebody who's manually talking to the customer is big. What they don't want is a form. That's what's going to come off like bad, is having a form to fill out. A form seems super formal, for lack of a better word. A form is formal. So you want to make it more that they're talking to you. They're talking to the business owner. They're able to get you when they need them and really get the information that they're looking to do. And so that chatbot will really help you do that, because a lot of people look at forms and they say, I don't want to fill out a form. Like the next thing they're going to be asking me for my social security number. Not that extreme, but people don't really want to fill out forms. They want to get answers when they're looking for it. But yeah, that's a great question. All right. Well, it was great talking with you guys. I really enjoyed this conversation. I wish that we could have had more of a verbal talk, but thank you so much for your questions. Thank you so much for listening. And as I said, if you guys want to book a meeting with me, we can put time on the calendar for whenever works for you. All you gotta do is take a picture of that QR code, and that'll put you right onto my calendar for whatever time you guys are looking to do. But thank you guys so much. I hope that I was able to help you guys out with how to reach more millennial customers. And you guys have a great day.